If you are a witch, the world needs you. Your voice is needed, your voice is powerful, and it's time that we come together to talk about the inequalities and injustices going on in our world right now. Please join me for today, please listen, and if nothing else, please take away the fact that you are empowered to make choices and that your voice is important and makes a difference. Thank you for watching. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for today's video. So I'm trying to figure out how to title this video so that it reaches as many people as possible, because I feel that if you're here and you're already following me, then I think that you are probably not the person I need to say this to, because I think you're already understanding me and you're already doing this work. So trying to figure out how to frame this, also because I don't feel that I am an authority in any way, shape or form, and before you even watch this, I would like to recommend that you go and watch two videos at least from two sisters in the craft who are on YouTube, and that is on Activist Witch's channel. So I would highly recommend those two videos, and I will link them as well at the top of the description box. If you identify as a witch, the world needs you. It's as simple as that. And I'm going to say it a little louder for the seats in the back. Witchcraft is political, and saying that it's not is a political statement in itself. We are beyond the point of being able to turn a blind eye and say that our witchcraft is not political. I suppose you can go ahead and do that. Everybody has free will, but in my personal opinion, there's a responsibility and a weight that comes with this moniker, this title of witch. Of course, I am only one person on the internet. I am not any kind of authority in any way, shape or form, other than I'm someone who has practiced for a number of years. I'm someone who's made massive mistakes in life as a human being and as a witch. And I'm here because I've learnt and I'm learning, I'm continuing to learn, and I'm choosing to be active in my communities. And I'm choosing to say that I'm not okay with the injustice that is currently happening on our planet, and I'm not okay with being quiet about it. This video is a devotional in itself, and I've had a number of thoughts in the last few weeks that have come up, and I definitely wanted to frame this in a certain way that would enable it to reach as many as possible, but also then recognizing that although my channel isn't the largest and I don't have that, you know, much engagement at all, there are people who pop in and out. There are some lovely people that come back, and there's a beautiful community here. I do feel that it's important to speak up, and I also feel like quite a lot of the people that come back are already people that are going to be aware of a lot of these things. But I'm hoping that maybe the algorithm will also find some other people who haven't thought about these things, or are not aware of these things, or are kind of a little bit numb to these things, maybe not paying too much attention to them. So the reason I'm making this video is because a couple of weeks ago there was a ruling in England. The UK Supreme Court ruled unanimously that a woman is defined by biological sex under equalities law. The Scottish government argued in court that transgender people with a gender recognition certificate are entitled to the same sex-based protections as biological women. The Supreme Court was asked to decide on the proper interpretation of the 2010 Equality Act, which applies across Britain. Lord Hodge said the central question was how the words woman and sex are defined in the legislation. He told the court the unanimous decision of this court is that the terms women and sex in Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch described the ruling as a victory for all women who faced personal abuse or lost their jobs for stating the obvious. I discovered this on the day. The first thing I heard of it was, unfortunately, a Telegraph video. Trans women are not legally women, Supreme Court rules.
It's definitive outside the Supreme Court. Men are men, women are women, trans women are not women, not just on paper, but in law. It is so seismic, I think, this judgment for women, that you could put it on a par with votes for women.
Today, the judges have said what we always believed to be the case, that women are protected by their biological sex.
It's ridiculous. This is just full of problematic language, and it was really upsetting to watch. and I am a cisgender woman. So I cannot imagine the pain, fear, anxiety, worry, stress, sadness, grief, loss that so many in the trans community feel, or anyone in the LGBTQI+ community. As I've already said, I am not any kind of authority whatsoever, and before you even watch this, I would click over to Activist Witch's channel and watch their most recent video because it was amazing. It's 2 hours worth of going into the entire context of the situation, and Raven speaks with such clarity and strength and knowledge, and I mean, honestly, it's an honor to be able to learn from people who are so open and vulnerable, and also who understand everything that has led up to now, because that's something that I was lacking and that I needed to learn more about. And last year as well, Activist Witch released a video about TERF, radical feminists, and witchcraft. That's linked as well, so I would also highly recommend that you watch that. That also gives a lot of context, a lot of detail, and why it's important that we talk about this in all circles. I don't think this video is going to be very well put together at all, or very well articulated, because, as I said, I'm coming to this to speak from the heart, but as someone who is not within that community. So I could not possibly know the experience of someone within that community, and that is always apparent to me, and I want to make that clear as well. It's just brought a lot of sadness, but it's brought up also a lot of questions as well. I mean, I feel that there are people around me who don't understand and will argue the other side without really understanding at all. And so for me, I'm learning what to say and how to answer and counter, but also understanding that every single person in the trans community and the LGBTQ+ community will have a different experience. And this is something that Raven spoke about. Every woman will have a completely different experience of what it is to be a woman. What is so horrible about this is that it is insidious, and it is basically propaganda. It's a bunch of lies that have been fed through this patriarchal machine, and it's designed to keep us attacking the marginalised small communities, the people who most need our protection actually, and who are just trying to live their lives as themselves, you know, as they identify, which should be their right. It should be our rights to identify how we wish. That should be the way that we define this, but unfortunately we've taken several steps back, it seems. I wrote a post in my own words, which weren't great, on Instagram last week because it was just coming up, and I just wanted people who actually see my content, both my personal and people in the community, to understand this, because I feel like it's very easy to be hoodwinked by the patriarchy, to feel like women are being protected in this way because now the space, you know, is going to be safe for you, and it could not be further from the truth. I said, the anti-trans court ruling does nothing for feminism. This is a false narrative propagated by a patriarchal system designed to manipulate and distract from the causes we should be focusing on to protect and support women and folks of minority and marginalised cultures and communities currently being oppressed, abused, martyred, murdered, starved, ethnically cleansed on a mass scale. Do not fall for this BS. The truth is, women, all types of women are marginalised and oppressed to different degrees. If you're not a white, cis, heterosexual man, you are being controlled and manipulated by the patriarchy. And actually, if you are a man as well, I mean, it's just so insidious, it's so ingrained. And again, Raven explains so beautifully throughout history and throughout culture how this has manifested. One thing that really stuck with me was this idea perpetuated within the patriarchal societies is that you then have three sexes, essentially. You have the men who, if you're not the most powerful men, then you're the workers. If you have a womb, then you are a breeding machine. If you do not fall into one of those binaries, then you are considered other, the transsexual, who essentially becomes meat and becomes a outlet for the cis man to use and abuse and to essentially have their way with without potentially creating life. And Raven also gives some interesting examples in history of this. I'm thinking of The Handmaid's Tale, and that is a book that I still haven't read because I was kind of afraid of it, but I do really enjoy Margaret Atwood's work. Completely different topic, but And I don't know why, but something was telling me that I need to check this out. And I did look into Margaret Atwood after I filmed this video, and there is some controversy around conversations from Margaret Atwood online, the sharing of particular posts and articles. It's making it muddy for me to even bring up Margaret Atwood in this video, but I wanted to explain that I did so before actually researching into it. I believe that Margaret Atwood has explained that she is not a TERF, but there's still been controversy online, and so I wanted to explain that here. So potentially Margaret Atwood is problematic also. If anyone knows more about this, I'd love to hear, because I think it is really important to know what people are saying, whether well-meaning or not. I think it's important to learn and learn from our own mistakes as well as other people's mistakes. I was thinking of The Handmaid's Tale, and actually I would like to see it as well. When it first came out, I was not in the headspace, suffering with postnatal depression and such. I feel like the way that things are going in the US, obviously now with Trump, all of the new restrictions and things that are coming in, and it's becoming really, really scary and really dystopian, and I feel that we are so incredibly close to living in this kind of way. And this is why I just cannot get my head around why these women, educated women, would think in any way, shape or form that this ruling is safe for them, or like is making things safe for them, or is designed to protect them. It is absolutely ridiculous. I have seen lots and lots of people online, some celebrities, you know, Nicola, I forget her last name, but the amazing actress who was in Bridgerton and in Derry Girls, speaking with such eloquence about this, and influencers as well, speaking about how they have never felt in any way unsafe with a trans person or a trans woman. It's true, and yet this small community is now being punished even more than they were. And we're already seeing the results of this, the fallout of this very, very quickly. And the strip searches, absolutely terrifying and disgusting. A cis woman also has suffered from this already. A cis man attempted to assault this woman because they believed that this woman was trans. As a result, this woman lost her job. That man should be punished. That man should be in jail. But yet she loses her job. Trans women, trans people are punished. Trans people are scapegoated, and it really hurts, angers and infuriates me, and I cannot understand how we are living in this world right now. And then every day I am seeing more and more and more horrors in Palestine, and I cannot believe that we are in this situation where the world thinks it's okay to children. This needs to stop, and we can help to stop it. We have power. I know it's very easy to feel disempowered. It's incredibly sad. I've spoken to the situation in Palestine in a couple of other videos, and some sisters in the craft have also. You know, I think it's very, very difficult, because as soon as you start talking about these things, then your videos don't get shown, and then you're not speaking to anyone anyway. So being able to be heard, yes, and I understand that, but everything we do is helping. Every person that we show, every person that we talk to, every march we're able to go on, every petition we're able to sign, every reel we're able to share. Uplifting the voices of people and civilians who are on the ground in Palestine, in Gaza right now, sharing on their Instagrams, supporting those families with their GoFundMes. I'm sharing a lot of those at the moment, and a lot of things, so you can follow anyone who I've shared and like all the posts and reshare. You can also write and rewrite again and again to your local MPs and the people in power near you. Uplifting the voices of celebrities and people in power who are speaking out against what is happening and who are expressing the truth that it is not anti-Semitic, to say that this genocide is wrong, and to be targeting children and families and innocent people, civilians, is wrong. 20,000 children, babies and children, 20,000. And there's nothing left of Rafah. There's nothing left. And there's no food, and there are thousands of trucks waiting to go in, and yet we're just silent. We need to mobilise, we need to come together somehow, and the only things that I can think to do that, the things that I keep coming back to are to align with, to follow and to listen to the communities like PSC, the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. There are different groups across the UK, so I have one in Exeter and there's a Totnes group as well. Obviously the greater group meets in London as well. These protests have been going on for over a year. You can attend or you can share if you can't attend, and you can donate if you can, and you can sign petitions, and you can educate yourself, you can read, you can learn, you can support Palestinian people here. There's so many things that you can do, and I think that the only way that we are going to be able to collectively group together is to come together through one of these groups and to actually continue to raise our voices until it puts enough pressure on the politicians and the people in power who are continuing to send arms and letting this happen, making this happen. Also, we can divest, we can boycott. So there are a number of brands such as L'Oreal, such as Nestle, such as Starbucks, Next, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Burger King. These are all big names that are supporting this genocide. We can do our part to take our money away from those places. So there are ways that we can be empowered. And in terms of when it comes to LGBTQI+ rights, I want to educate myself more. I want to be sure that I'm centering other people, not myself, because I am not someone who understands the experience. I'm just someone who wants to speak to it and to say that it's important that we are all coming together to protect the rights of these people. It's about human rights. Witchcraft is political. I have another video. I will link that as well, so you can go and watch that. Witches have been marginalised and maligned and demonised, etc.
Speaking here of the historical and cultural concept of the witch in public opinion and cultural zeitgeist, I will add that during the European witch trials between 15th and 18th centuries, herbalists, doulas, healers, local cunning people, the elderly, disabled or ill, and even disliked people, particularly women, were targeted and accused and tried for witchcraft. Arguably, most of these people who were targeted would not have identified as witches, and indeed many of them wouldn't have even been practicing any form of healing.
Witches were often seen as on the edge of society, thought of as the barren woman, also fetishised, just as the trans woman has been fetishised. And that is something that we share, and often I think the witch was thought of as the barren, seductress baby. I think fetishised in that same way that the trans woman was fetishised, and also a witch not being seen as fitting in with the binary, not being seen as having a womb to produce offspring. The idea of the witch is fetishised in a similar way. I don't say this at all to take away anything from the very real trans experience, but I say this to draw attention to the fact that we have things in common, that I believe that witches have this in common with other communities that are also othered, like the trans community. Trans women are women. Trans women need to be uplifted and protected. I hope that in some way I'm just able to highlight and bring some things to your attention if they weren't already. And I hope that I have been able to be as sensitive as possible in this video. I hope that I've been able to hold some space for people's experiences. Yeah. So that's really what I wanted to share. If you're a witch, if you identify as a witch, the world needs you. You have power with your voice, no matter how small your platform is. You have a voice and you need to use it. I personally don't feel that with the way the world is right now, with the way that so many communities are suffering and being threatened, that we can just sit back. And I know so many people in the witchcraft community are in those communities too. So I know it's hard. I think it also has to be about supporting yourself and getting through some of these things. I would also say that getting involved in your local communities for supporting Palestine and for supporting LGBTQI+ rights would be a really fantastic thing to do. And I think that coming together again within communities that you feel safe within, and where you can talk and where you can share and where you can feel seen and heard and understood, and I think that that's a really powerful thing. So I hope that in some way this is able to provide somewhere for that. I'll also say that, like, if there's anything that I can offer or do to help anyone who is in any of these marginalised communities, anyone who is struggling as well, then please do message me. I am on Instagram. If you go onto my Instagram page, I'm sharing a lot of stories out of Palestine. I'm sharing things to support trans women and trans people, just to try to be as active as I possibly can. I think I'll leave it there. As I said, I hope that this landed. Please, please, please go and watch Isha and Raven's videos at Activist Witch. Also, if you have any other resources, please drop them below. There are a number of amazing witchy content creators who are also talking about this on their channels. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I will leave links below. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind and compassionate to others. And let's try and come together to make this world a better place, please. All right. See you again in another video. Many blessings.